What's up? My name's Lukis Mac and I'm the co-founder of Owaken Breathwork. And today I'm going to answer some questions that were submitted on Instagram. So let's get into it, fam. Can you explain what developing self-love means to you? Yeah, developing self-love to me is a daily practice. It comes down to the way that we show up for ourselves. On the daily, it's about being our own best friend. It's about being kind and compassionate and loving to ourselves. And that comes down to the way we treat ourselves and the way we talk to ourselves. So for example, if you notice that you find yourself practicing negative self-talk and you're lowering your vibe, you're draining your energy, and you're just being really mean towards yourself, that would be the moment to practice being your own best friend and to show up for yourself and coach yourself through that process. You can create a pattern interference by switching up the way that you're talking to yourself, by changing what you're giving energy and what you're giving power to, saying more powerful, positive statements to yourself, celebrating your wins, looking at the things that are going right in your life, looking at the areas of your life that you are showing up and that you are crushing it. These would be ways that you can practice self-love on the daily and you can be your own best friend, right? Then it's also about showing up and moving through any resistance. It's about challenging yourself from a place of fierce, courageous love to do the things that you know that you should be doing, to do the hard things, to do the challenging things, because as you take action and you do those challenging things, you build resilience, you build self-belief, you build confidence by winning the day, by creating these wins every single day and celebrating these wins. You start to access trust in yourself. You start to focus on all the things that are in your control, and you're not focused on the things that aren't within your control. You're showing up for yourself, you're taking action, you're living in alignment with what you know you should be doing. And by practicing self-love, you're elevating your vibe, you're lifting your spirits, you're taking control of your mind, body, and spirit. You're in the driver's seat, so this is your reminder to practice self-love. You have got this. How did you manifest working with Travis Barker and Kourtney Kardashian? Well, I grew up in New Zealand and then we moved to Los Angeles, and I remember going into a bookstore and I saw Travis Barker's book and I opened it up and I was reading about a traumatic event that he experienced, which was a plane accident where everyone on the plane had died and he had burnt 70% of his body, and extremely traumatizing for him. And from that moment on, he had a fear of flying. And when I was in that bookstore, skimming through that book, reading that, I got chills. My whole body got goosebumps because I realized that I knew how to support him to overcome that fear. Because Awaken Breathwork is a form of somatic therapy. It helps people to process unexpressed emotions and trauma and tap into their own clarity and insights from within. So when I read that, it was like a light bulb moment went off, and I knew that I could support him to overcome that fear. Then I could support him to fly again. So the only question was, how was I going to manifest working with Travis Barker, right? So I started mentally rehearsing and visualizing myself working with him. I'll do that in my breathwork and meditation practice on the daily, and I'll do it over and over and over again. And I'd see myself supporting Travis and helping him to move beyond that fear. And I'd see him flying again, and I'd see him feeling powerful, and I'd see him accessing a deep space of peace and overcoming that trauma. And about 1 year later, I woke up to a DM in my Instagram from Travis Barker, and I told him about my vision that I wanted to support him with Awaken Breathwork. And then I found myself eventually knocking on Travis's door, and then we got to work. And there was one specific moment that stands out that was really beautiful and really powerful. One day Travis rang me and he said, this will be the first time Kourtney and I are gonna fly, and this will be the first time of me flying in 13 years. Can you come over and do a session? And I was lit up. I was so excited because I knew that this was the moment that we'd been working towards and it was about to go down. So I went over to Travis's house. We did the session, it was amazing. And the next day he jumped on that plane with Kourtney and he flew again and he conquered his fear. So shout out to you, Travis, because you're an inspiration to everyone that it's possible to overcome your fear and move beyond a really traumatic event and claim your power back. So love you, bro. How did you overcome negative self-talk? Yeah, growing up for me, I struggled with negative self-talk. It's one of the first things I noticed was when that negative self-talk was really loud, I felt really low. I didn't feel good about myself. I felt terrible. And I noticed that I was draining my energy, draining my life force, and lowering my vibe when I was practicing negative self-talk. So I started to become hyper aware of what I was giving my attention, my energy, and power to. And as I started to notice that, and I started to practice using positive affirmations or saying more powerful, uplifting things to myself, celebrating my wins, I would notice that I would get a burst of energy from that I would feel good about myself. I was focusing on the things that I was doing right, rather than tearing myself down and looking at all the negative things that weren't working out in my life. Then later I'd find out that there's a part of the brain called the reticular activating system, and its job is to find more of what we focus on. So if we're constantly focusing on the negative, then that part of our mind is going to find more negative things for us to focus on. But if we start to train our mind to focus on the positive things in our environment, about ourselves and the things going on in our life, then we find more positive things. And that part of your mind is a filtering system between your conscious and your unconscious mind. So if you're constantly focusing on the negative, it's not that these positive things aren't happening in your life. It's just that that part of your mind will do its job and it will filter out all of the positive things because you'll be mostly focused on the negative. But if you start to train yourself to focus on the positive, that will be the lens in which you see life through. So you will just start to notice more positive things about yourself, about other people, about your environment, about your life. It's the lens in which you see through. So that's what really helped me, was to start practicing affirmations, using positive self-talk, celebrating my wins, and noticing when I was giving my energy to negative self-talk, when my inner critic was turned up, when there was limiting beliefs that were really loud, and I'd begin to get to work on reprogramming new ways of seeing myself, creating a pattern interference, and practice using positive affirmations. And that really helped me to overcome negative self-talk. That's a wrap, y'all.